Well, hi, hello, everybody. Welcome to deploying a PeopleSoft chatbot in less than 20 minutes. That's what this session is. It's a new type of session. It's a half-an-hour session, so we're going to get just pack a lot of information in just a little bit of time. Let me get the logistics going here, and I can share my screen. No matter how many times you do this, okay, I'm going to, unless something's wrong, chime in and let me know. Okay, so let's talk about deploying a chatbot in less than 20 minutes. It's a great title, nice title for a session. Can you really deploy a chatbot in 20 minutes? I don't know, probably not, probably takes a little bit longer, but if I had said it takes 45 minutes and it was a half-an-hour session, you might have scratched your head and said, well, you know, what's going on there? So we'll just leave it as is. I know that if you're a pro, you can get it up and running in less than 20 minutes. Before I start and I get into the PeopleSoft chatbots, I want to point you to a blog that was written. It was written by Greg Kelly. Actually, it's written by the chatbot folks. It's the title of the actual paper. It's a PDF. It's a red paper. The title is it's writing a production quality FAQ in an hour, FAQ chatbot in an hour. Now, for those of us who are working with PeopleSoft, we know that we want the skills to work with PeopleSoft data, and we've done a great job with that. We've done a great job getting the skills working with PeopleSoft data. But if you're somebody who's interested in deploying a chatbot, I think the first step, kind of the toe in the water step, is let's just get a simple FAQ out, right? An FAQ that just says stuff like, when is benefits enrollment going to start? How do I, do various different things? What's the holiday schedule in Canada? Things like that. Just simple little questions that you can get going. Those are very easy to put together in ODA. And I want to remind you, when you do license Oracle Digital Assistant, it is not a PeopleSoft license for Oracle Digital Assistant. It's based upon the license that you get, so you can have access to any content within ODA outside of PeopleSoft. Okay, so I'll point you here where you get to it. As you go to, there's the URL for the blog, so you can just do a Google search on PeopleTools blog with Greg Kelly, and it'll show up. I highly recommend reading that. It's actually, I think Greg posted a LinkedIn about that as well. Okay, so let's jump in and let's start talking about how you get going with the PeopleSoft skills. First, there's got to be prereqs, right? We have built the PeopleSoft chatbot integration architecture that was released in PeopleTools 85707 and PeopleTools 858 in the PeopleTools 858 line. That contains prereqs that you're going to have to use in order to use the delivered chatbots, right? And that's you have to be on one of those releases. There is also additional components that are delivered within the images, and the images that are identified here. Those are the images that you have to be on. You can be either up to current, make me current on each one of those images, or you can apply the specific bugs from those images to make sure that you have the prereqs. Okay, that's it. And you have to have Integration Broker. Remember, we're going back in through Integration Broker. So before we dig into the details, let's just kind of look at it from a high level and talk about what are all the parts that need to be configured to get the chatbot working. Okay, so here we have PeopleSoft. We have PeopleSoft up here in on the left side, right? There's that's the chatbot that's running within PeopleSoft, the PeopleSoft environment. There's the back-end integration gateway. And over here, we have the Oracle Digital Assistant, right? Oracle Digital Assistant, ODA, is running on the platform as a service. It's a PaaS service product. You're going to subscribe to it. There's different subscription options. We talked about those in the tools roadmap. I'm not going to get into that, but if you'd like more information, you can meet me in the expo, or you can there are several sessions going on that you can get more details out of that. So you need a license for the Oracle Digital Assistant, and there's many parts that need to be configured. So let's kind of step through kind of schematically what we are going to do to set it up. The first thing is you want to install and configure the skills from the skill store. And I'm going to talk about that in detail, what the skill store is all about, okay? This is a big change, right? Big change over the past several months. We didn't used to be able to use the skill store. Now we are using the skill store, and it's very, very beneficial. It's very nice. So we'll talk about that. But that's step one. Step two is you've got to configure that pipe between ODA and PeopleSoft. When you're using a chatbot, you're going to make a request. What's my absence balance? That absence balance, ODA has to be able to go back into PeopleSoft, pull out some information, bring it back, and display it. And that is done through that pipe, that pipe. It's going to it's a RESTful call from ODA, so it's going to have to know about the REST listening connector that's set up for that PeopleSoft environment. Next up is creating the channel. The channel is the technology pipe that you're going to use to get from the client into ODA. There's a number of different channels that ODA provides. It does things like Slack, Facebook Messenger. It certainly does HTML, it does texting. The ones that we are supporting right now are text and HTML. Okay, so you have to define the channel, and we are also defining right now a one-to-one between the channel and the skills. That's going to change a little bit, but right now we're one-to-one between the channel and the skill. Then we flip over to the PeopleSoft side, and there's a couple of things you have to do. First is you have to add a user and assign them roles, and that user is the user that's going to be used to call services from the Oracle Digital Assistant. Right? It's a little confusing, but when a call is made up to the Oracle Digital Assistant, we have to figure out who that is, and a call is made back to the PeopleSoft system to figure out, to get the credentials of who that person is. That call is not made with the credentials of the user. That one is made through system credentials, and that system user has to be defined in PeopleSoft. And I'll show you the details of where that is done. Next thing is you create a bot definition, and you assign it to the channel. This makes perfectly good sense, right? That's defining this arrow right here. What's the URL or URI for this arrow right here, and what is the technology that we're using for that skill, or what's the channel for that skill? Pretty straightforward, and we've created pages in PeopleSoft to capture that. Next thing, you got to turn on the security authorization app class. That's part of this authorizing what a user can do. And then finally, you put the UI into place, so you add a tile to start the chatbot, right? So it's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. The parts all seem to make sense, right? There's nothing really too complicated about it. So let's jump into it. Here's kind of a list as we go. This is the steps to go ahead and do this. So the first thing, let's start in the skills store. Now, I mentioned that we used to deliver our skills outside the skills store, and it was because only the Oracle SaaS applications used to be allowed to put the skills in the skills store. We are the first non-SaaS application to actually be able to publish our skills in the skills store. So we are kind of breaking ground. We're the first ones other than SaaS applications. The biggest benefit is instead of delivering these in PUM images, then downloading the files and then importing them and all the things that can go wrong with that, it's basically just a select and click, and you can start using it. And you can use it either by saying that I want to take a copy of it, or I want to take it and I want to extend it, right? So it's very, very easy to find. It's very easy to use. Plus, it gives us the benefit of versioning our skills, right? So we can put a version out there. You can take that version, you can start extending that. We can make changes to ours, and then you can rebase your extensions on ours anytime that you want to. So it's a very, very nice model for the life cycle of these skills moving forward. So the quickest way to find the skills is, this is the ODA console, this page that I have up here. You'll see there's the development, there's where you're defining your skills, that's where you're defining a digital assistant. There's a link here that says store. So the store is inside the console. Think of it that way. You open up the ODA console, and inside of it, you have an access to the store. Simply go over to the search, type PeopleSoft in, hit enter, and you will see all of the PeopleSoft skills. Okay, pretty simple. You can drill into one of these skills, and there's a lot of great information inside the skill. You'll see that that this one is this is an employee directory assistant. There's the version number. The version is the number. It lines up with our PUM images. So this one's 92335. That means that, well, don't read too much into this. This means that it was originally published with 92035. It's going to identify what the requirements. You can see down here. Well, first you'll see the minimum digital assistant platform. Then you'll see this Fusion application version. This is an artifact of the fact that nobody else other than the SaaS applications were able to put this out there. So it's just kind of hanging around. We will document exactly what you need. So we are going to put the minimum tools version. We'll identify the minimum PUM version, and then we will also identify what bugs need to be applied out of that PUM version in order to get this to run. So if we make a change to it and we make it 9203036, and we require some changes within the application, then we'll identify what those are. Okay. I also want to put a little note of this disclaimer that the skills are considered to be very similar to PUM images, right? They require you to be not only a licensed PeopleSoft, but also current on your maintenance, or currently subscribing to maintenance for PeopleSoft, because they're delivered. But think of them delivered very similar to PUM images. Okay, so these are the skills. Now, in order to install one of these skills, you simply go over to this little pull, and you click pull, and that's it, right? I mean, it's pretty simple. Okay, once you do that, then you have your skill, and it takes that skill. It takes a few minutes, right? Maybe even less than, probably even less than that, just a matter of seconds. And it will copy that skill, and it'll base it in your ODA environment. Okay, so now you have that, and you're ready to start working with it and ready to start using it. Now, the first thing I mentioned before is that when it's in your environment, you can choose, when you pull it, you can choose to either clone it or you can choose to extend it. If you clone it, it's a copy and it's yours, and you own it from now on out. If you extend it, which is of course the preference that we would suggest, then you will see this up here. You'll see the extended skills. Extended skill. It'll identify that, and I'll show you what it means moving forward a little bit. So the first thing you do is you want to make sure that you have the services probably defined and set up. There's a couple of system services that we need, and we need those to get the security set up. These are the PS dots that you see in here. There's 4 of them. There's a verify service access. There's a get system variables, a get message catalogs, and an authenticate GUID. These are the services that have to be, that every skill will have to run. The easiest way to get these going is to navigate here to your services tab and click this reload button. That'll make sure that they essentially are repurposed and are ready to go. Okay. The next thing to do, the next thing to do is to point ODA back to the integration broker, right? To the integration broker service listening connector. You go down here to the tab we're still in the skill, right? We're still in the skill, extending the skill. You go down to the systems tab, and it's got some system messages and so forth. But down here, it's got some parameters, and these parameters are important. This base URL parameter, you can see I made a typo in here. This is the listening connector for the PeopleSoft integration, for REST listening connector for PeopleSoft. This is the user ID and the password that is the system user ID and password that's going to be used to make those security calls. Now, notice over here, a couple of things I want to show you on this. Notice over here, there's a little toolkit, right? And then there's these here that are kind of hierarchical. When you are extending a service, you have the option of using what is delivered, creating something brand new, or changing what is delivered, right? Those are the three things. And those three things are identified up here in these little buttons up here. There's the inherited, which means you're taking what we delivered in the skill. So anything that's inherited is not changed. These users here happen to be inherited, and that little icon there means that they're inherited. Local is anything new that you add. So if you wanted to add your own parameter here, that's for some type of processing, you could create a local parameter, add it here, and it would be only known local. And then there's the customize, which means there's the parameter that's delivered, and we are making a change to it. That's what this little icon here signifies. So what we've done with this is we've gone in, we've selected this line, we've hit edit, we've made our change. In this case, we made a typo, and then we saved it, and now we have overridden that. Okay. Now, when we rebase this is what you can do for anything in the skill, utterances, intents, all the basics of the skill. When you rebase it, you're not going to have to change this parameter again, right? We'll deliver our new one. Even if we've delivered a new one, yours will be out there, and yours will be protected. All of your local changes will also be there, right? So it's really nice that we're able to use that. Okay, so that's setting up the integration broker. Next thing you do is pretty simple. You go over to the skills and you validate the skill, right? Should work. You never know though. It should work. It just makes sure that the skill itself is the conversation, right? So it's where the conversation flow. Each individual section of a skill is a state that you're sitting in. So when you type in I would like to see my absence balance, it's going to translate that, based upon the utterances, match that, turn that into entities and intents, the entities being the objects and the intent is what do you want to do. It's going to drop into the skill, find a match for that, or use some intelligence to predict what the best match is for that. Go ahead and execute that, and that's the state that you're in. That's going to tell you what you want to get on the back end, and it's going to tell you what you're going to formulate, or the answer that you're going to form when you send it over. Okay, all of that is done in the skill. You can type the skill in by hand, or there's a visual designer to design the skills. This step here, this validate, just makes sure that the skill is in good shape. Okay, finally, the last thing that we're going to do on the ODA side is we're going to create our channel, right? I mentioned that we're kind of lined up one-to-one with the skill and a channel. So you think about it a little bit, just for a second, the interface or the conversation that we have inside of a HTML or a chat area may be different than the one that we have in a text area, right? We may be showing different buttons, different images. We may be navigating differently inside a chat than we are in a text area on a phone. So right now we've broken those two up, and you're creating a channel for the skill. The channel, again, is the technology. You can look at this. This is an Oracle Web right there. And it's going to give you a channel ID. That's kind of important there. You're going to copy that, and you're going to put that in PeopleSoft in another step. One thing that I do want to mention here is that when we set up our skill, well, we support, so you're going to see on the PeopleSoft store, we have hardwired the fact that this skill goes to a certain PeopleSoft system, right? So we wired it up. I should have talked about this in the previous slide. Let me actually go back. Let me go back here. We have hardwired this in here to say that anytime the skill it hits this listening connector. If you want a skill to service multiple different systems, so if you have like multiple development systems or multiple test systems and you have a single skill that you want to do that, you can do that. What you're going to do then is you're going to pass this address of the listening connector, you're going to pass it in from the client. So this is a parameter that we are using in order to get to our listening connector. That's something you would pass in through the client. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Okay, so let's get back here. We've set up the channel configuration. That's the HTML. We've set it up for the HTML channel. Now let's hop over into PeopleSoft. Okay, the first thing that you're going to do in PeopleSoft is you're going to create the user, right? Your user that we had defined there, the PeopleSoft proxy user. You're going to create them and you're going to give them a couple of roles, right? You're going to give them the service user and the chatbot user roles, okay? Anonymous service user and the chatbot user roles, okay? That's important. Make sure that you have this have that user defined. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to get into the bot definition, right? The bot definition is on the PeopleSoft side. We have in the it's in the enterprise components and the chatbot configuration. We are saying where your ODA lives, right? That's this first one, the general configuration. This is where ODA exists, right? And that's the release. It identifies the versions after a certain release. This is where that lives, so we can actually find it. And then each one of the definitions down below, you select that, hit an add, and each one down below, you're going to go get the channel ID from ODA, and you're going to either you have written it down or you memorized it, or I don't know, or you go over to ODA and you select it and you copy it and you put it into the chatbot definition. That way, we know that this master bot here, this HDA chat assistant right there for absence assistant, that is going right there to that skill. That's using that channel, and ODA is ready to handle that on the back end. Okay, that's the secret sauce right there to getting this whole thing right. On the ODA side, get the RESTful service connector and the security all hooked up. On the PeopleSoft side, make sure that you're pointing to the right bot. So a little bit of additional information. This is how you're going to use this. Are you going to use this as a tile, or you're going to embed it in a component? And you can change the branding right out of the box. The HTML will look a little different. If you've done some branding, you can add your own branding to it. Okay, and then finally, you want to make sure that your app class, you have to identify the authentication. Careful with the word authentication. I want to make sure everybody understands exactly what's happening here. When you make a request from a PeopleSoft from the chat client, you've already authenticated into a PeopleSoft system, right? So Dave has signed into PeopleSoft. I'm now Dave signed into PeopleSoft. Now I make a chat request. What's my absence balance? It goes out to ODA, and I'm not going to authenticate into ODA. ODA is passing it through on behalf of me, but ODA wants to find out. It wants to assure that the calls that it's making in the back end are on my behalf. So it's going to validate who that user is. And there's two ways to do that. One is through a PS token approach, where we pass the GUID, we create a GUID, we pass it up there in the channel, across to ODA, from the client to ODA. ODA takes that and it calls back and it says, somebody is making a request and they gave me this GUID. We'll match it up with a PS token. We'll hand that PS token back to ODA, and then ODA will use that PS token to make RESTful calls on that person's behalf, okay, on that user's behalf. That's the PS token. That's the way it's done in 857. In 858, you can still continue to use that PS token, or you can use an OAuth 2 for authorization. And if you're going to use OAuth 2, then the only one we support is the Oracle Identity Cloud Service, or IDCS. Okay. Okay, and then finally, the last step here is to add a tile, right? And the tile is delivered. It's out there. You've got to go through, select that tile in structure and content, select that tile, click on the home page. And I didn't add the slide, but then once that's there, then you go to the home page, you go to this, customize or configure, and you add that to home page, and you can run the chatbot. Okay. Now, this is a quick mini session. We've just got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to point you to the additional information here. There's the PeopleSoft Chatbot key concept page. You get there, of course, from peoplesoftinfo.com. There's the PeopleSoft Chatbot pull down, and it's just got a wealth of information in here. This actually goes down much further. I didn't copy everything, but down here, right around down here somewhere, there is a link to a document that is the Chatbot installation guide, and you will see that I pretty much got this entire deck from that document. So there's a wealth of information about the chatbots that we deliver. There's some information about ODA and so forth. And there's also there's an FAQ out here. Unfortunately, there's no chatbot. We've talked about putting a chatbot out here for our PeopleSoft info, but unfortunately, we haven't done that yet. Okay, but that's basically what I wanted to cover today for as far as chatbots for installing. There's a lot of additional sessions. I don't have that here. I should have put together a slide on the additional sessions. I know there's one. I know there is a session on working with your HCM bot. There's a chatbot breakout community here at the conference. If you got any questions, go into that, fire up your questions. You can certainly go to the expo. I do know that there are a number of partners that are working with chatbots. They can get you going with chatbots. A great thing to do is, if you're interested in this, head on over to the expo and start poking around in the in some of the partners, asking if they are working with chatbots. So with that, I'm going to stop and say good luck with the chatbots. I think you'll find a lot of value in using them. Thanks.